Hey everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday Live with John Willis from Special Operations Equipment. We've got Toolman Tim Cook from the workshop. I'm Nicole Sauce from Living Free in Tennessee. And this is a conversation. So if you've got a topic you'd like us to cover, please put like question or comment in all caps. I'll do my best to read what you got to say, but we can talk about anything today. So let's hear what you want to talk about. I'm going to start out. How's it's Delinquents Gully or Gulch?
Gully.
Gully,
Yeah.
good. I had it right today. I thought like a part of me was like, oh, do I have that name wrong today? So how is Delinquents Gully developing, and what in the world is that, Tim?
Yeah. So it's what was 10 acres of land in Tennessee that is now 15 because we bought another parcel, but it's raw, undeveloped land. It's exactly 40 minutes south of John. So it's close enough that we're not, we're neighbors at this point. And we wanted it the entire concept behind it was a vacation property, a compound, a bug out location if it ever needs to be that, but and also a money making venture at some point. So a little bit of hip camp, that sort of thing, and just finding ways to monetize it. So we walked it for the first time in April of this year and we just kind of walked and planned, kind of figured out where we wanted different level plots and that sort of thing. And now we have it. Well, we had a big work day here, the weekend or the week before SRF, which was awesome. We put in a composting toilet. We built an 8x8. I call it the main bunkhouse. Kerry and his buddy built a bridge across the creek. It must be a mile of trails cut, a bunch of firewood. And since I've been back here, I hired a guy to put a driveway in for me. So we now I used to have to take, and I'll tell you, this is sketchy when you're 3,000 kilometers from home and you decide, hey, I'm going to take my 4-wheel drive truck down through a 90-degree ditch and back up. And I put some good little scratches and nicks on the truck, but I love it. I got a little crack in the bumper that reminds me of Tennessee every time I look at it now. So we've got we put a culvert in, and it's just a beautiful kind of driveway. Got a little bit of footage of it. We've been doing a kind of a vlog series called Delinquent Gullies Chronicles. And yeah, dude, I can't get over the fact that people wanted to come there and help just so we could be part of a community.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. There's a bit of a buzz that's been going on around that. And so, every time Brian like uploads a picture from there, I think that's pretty cool. But I think it's really fun to see how people can come together and start building these things out because, people say it's so overwhelming to get started with a raw piece of land, but you get a little road in there and figure out where you're going to sleep and poop, and that's a good start.
Was it hard not to go with Gulch over Gully?
Yes, it was actually.
I bet.
And I there's times when I go to call it Gulch even to this day, and I've thought about changing it, but so I'm a big believer in names come organically and they happen through community, right? And so Delinquents, one morning, Brian Alexovich is like, "Good morning, Delinquents," in the Telegram group, and it stuck. And then we kind of looked at it. We're like, hey, this is the community that kind of lives outside the system with, kind of that anarcho-punk kind of view a little bit. And so Delinquent stuck. And then the day we did our first walkthrough, Carrie Brown and Brian and I, and Carrie said, you got a nice little gully here. And I thought, there it is, Delinquents Gully. Very cool. It just stuck. I was like, all right, we're going with it. So there it is.
Yeah, well, when I promoted that, I was like, oh no, maybe it's a play on Gulch. And then I was like, oh no, is it wrong? And I had no way to verify.
So when you're driving down the road and your kids, see a sports car and they're all enamored with it, as you get older, you look at piles of gravel and you're like, man, I wish I had the money that was in that pile of gravel. And you, having just put in a driveway, are now well aware of the cost of materials and gravel and such, and culverts and things.
Oh, it was awesome. We've got a pretty cool community down there. Jamie out on the end, he has a little YouTube channel called Off Grid Ping. He's turned into a best buddy. He hooked me up with a neighbor on the same little road. There's a bunch of people from away have bought properties down in this kind of rural road. I think there's maybe 20 sections altogether, maybe 6 or 8 people that own them all. And this guy named Mario, he's like, hey, I'm renting a mini track excavator. I'm going to give you guys half of the going rate for hourly work. And him and I just texted back and forth, and he got the culvert in, he did the prep work, and he got me that, what's that orangish yellow gravel called? There's a name
Chert.
For it. Chert. I'd never heard it before. So even that's gone up in price.
Here. Yeah, that's what we grow here.
We've been growing it for millions of years.
Yes, if you ever get it in your interior, it will never be. You'll never be rid of it. It's sticky. It's clay with gravel. This whole place was a gravel pit. That's what this whole property here was a chert hole. That's what they're pulling out. What's property out there go for? Like what's a 10-acre lot reasonably? What could you expect over there?
It was about $5K an acre, right around something like that. So it wasn't horrible at all. You know, I've told a lot of people that from around the country, and most people give me the same response that you did. Okay. Yeah. Not horrible, not crazy.
Yeah.
It was logged, selective logging probably 20, 25 years ago. So there's still some really big trees and lots of new growth. And it's shaped a lot like Nicole's property. It's a bit of a hill, and you just find the flat sections and you work with it.
Man, what's great for those areas is you just core down and put your concrete piers, and then just build, a badass deck, and then build A-frames or, glamping tents, or just have your shit up, in the canopy, like the walks when you go to real cool zoos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like a tree house, but not built on the tree,
Like a tree house on stilts.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Your stilt, and it could actually then sort of butt into the hill. I think that's how Tactical's cabin is going to end up here, because he's going to build a cabin here, and we've been walking all over deciding where it goes. But concrete pillars are definitely in the future, something like that, or cinder block. Yeah, and
they have these. They're just like giant carpet tubes, so you just put them in your hole, and then you just pump your concrete or pour your concrete in there, and then you've got these big piers, and then you just build off of those. So we've been looking at culverts. You can take an 8-foot culvert, and then the cable spools on an 8-foot cable spool, the ends are 8.5. So we're looking at like root cellars. But then as I'm looking at those, I find guys selling train tankers, the tanks off of a train car, and those things are 1-inch steel, and they're 40 feet long. So you've got a tank that's 10 feet around, that's 40 feet long, and it's 1-inch steel, and they're round, so you can actually bury those, unlike a shipping container. So those are pretty cool, and we see those going for anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000. But that's a big thing that you can bury and still keep your footprint, and not, you can cover it or do whatever with it.
I want something underground so bad. And I don't know why. There's a YouTuber, Colin Frews. I don't know if you've seen him.
He's from England. Over in Europe. Yep.
Oh,
how is he getting? I really think that he owns the entire. How in the world is he getting away with that? Right. I really think that he bought a community or something, and he owns it, so he can just do whatever. Because he's in seemingly a residential area, and he's digging tunnels and all kinds of cool shit. There is no way in the world you could do that, like in any of these major cities like that.
It's England. Like, I mean, when Becky wanted to walk the riverbank, you needed a permit to pick anything up from the riverbank in England. I can just imagine what he has to go through.
Allowed versus unless you're a criminal, then you just do whatever you want. Just do whatever. It seems. So France is on fire. I mean, Ireland's on fire. Everything's insane right now.
Yeah, we've got a sugar shortage. That's our big thing right now.
Oh no! What are you going to do?
I'm fine. I've got 5-gallon buckets full of sugar behind me, so we're good. But not that we use that much sugar. But
you just got to locate. You just got to find that millions of gallons of maple syrup.
4 hours south of me is another sugar beet place, and I went through there the other day. It must have been a half a mile long pile of sugar beets, probably 30 feet high. So they've got them.
They're saying the glycemic
sugar out of beets, or do you do cane there? Is it a cane sugar shortage, or is it sugar beets?
I'm not actually sure. It's in Vancouver, which is the factory that's the shortage. The one south of me is from sugar beets. I'm going to guess the one in Vancouver is sugar cane, but I don't know.
I had heard that like 90% of all the sugar in the United States comes from beets now, and that has a much higher glycemic index. So when you're buying sugar, be cognizant, like Domino still does a cane sugar. They also, if it doesn't specifically say cane sugar on there, though, it is coming from beets. And there's some fascinating history around sugar beets and the industry, even inside the United States, not just the colonies and stuff. But and even like the maple syrup thing, they were holding these tanks of maple syrup that let go and wiped out and decimated an entire town. I mean, just the craziness that ensues around sweetness is crazy. Then the amount of life that's lost over it.
In Boston, I think it was Boston that had the maple syrup flood or whatever, and they swear it's been like 100 years. On a really hot day, you can still smell that the smell every so often. I was like, that's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool. I thought I read somewhere that the Halloween jack-o'-lantern was originally done with sugar beets in Europe. Like it came over and we adapted it to the pumpkin.
Oh, it could be. I've never heard it, but well.
Yeah, I read that somewhere. Like that's in the database, but I don't know where I read it a long time ago.
My bad. It was molasses.
Molasses. Okay, we got a question from Chef Angry. Chef Angry, are you Angry Chef on TikTok? I'm just wondering because there's an angry chef there who's hilarious. Tim, will you talk about an off-grid, no electricity toolbox tools brand, etc.? So off-grid, no electricity toolbox tools brands.
That reads like that.
Do you mean like rechargeable power tools, or do you mean like screwdrivers? Can you clarify that?
That's what I'm wondering. I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm too old to use hand tools. Everything's got to be powered. So I'm going to use cordless everything, and I'm going to charge it with solar. I made a huge, I wouldn't say a mistake, but I went to Harbor Freight and bought what I called, John laughs, my Tennessee toolbox. And all I wanted to do was swear. I bought one of those 6.5-inch cordless skill saws. That thing was an absolute piece of shit. Like it would bind up in 3/4-inch plywood. So I forget that. I'm bringing down all my DeWalt stuff with me next time. I don't care if they give me grief at the border, even though they say they won't. I'm bringing them because, yeah, we're coming down in February. I'm probably going to spend 6 or 8 weeks down there, and there's no way I am going to work with cheap Harbor Freight cordless tools again.
Yep, red or yellow. Take your pick, whichever you've already got batteries for. I bought a very cool bit and brace. It came with 13 bits at an antique store a couple months ago. I have not bored any holes with it. Every time I pick one up, Amanda and we picked up a big saw this weekend, and I go, man, I hope we never have to use this for real. And I have probably 30 of them hanging out in the shed out there. I buy them. I love to collect them. And every time I touch one of them, I'm like, God, I hope we never have to do this shit for real like this.
I've always wanted to try using them just 1 year for maple syrup collection. We don't have much maple syrup out here, but when I lived on the East Coast, I thought there's something nostalgic about using them for maple syrup, but I never did.
Well, you see like the Amish still use them, for doing post and beam work with them. And it's wild how they put that stuff together, and they make it look so easy. I really think they're doing it all like out of pine or Douglas fir or something.
Or they do it enough that they can.
Yeah,
I think bit and brace setup was left behind here in the workshop that has all the things that I don't know what they are. But do you have any more thoughts on that, Tim? That is what Chef Angry was talking about.
Was hand tools?
Yeah.
I mean, certain things. If you look at my everyday carry tool bag that I take for property maintenance, most of what I use is still hand tools. Whether I love that there's a Milwaukee multi-bit screwdriver. It's 7-in-1. That thing's incredible. Oh crap. There's a really expensive set, Knipex, they call them. Knipex adjustable plier wrenches. Those are incredible. I got an East Wing hammer that I'd probably sell a kid for. Like that thing, I've had it for 20 years, and I lost it for a whole winter, and I was sad. So, buy quality hand tools that'll last your lifetime, and you'll be good, but also use cordless stuff. Don't frig yourself up simply because you want to be that guy.
Man, the Knipex stuff, if you have tools right now and you are pleased with your tools, do not look at Nipex. Like, don't even buy a Cobra ply or anything. Evan was here and he completely jinxed me. He goes, man, your pocket slide holds 2 of these Nipex pliers. And they were so cool just looking at these things. I said, hey, order these. And Amanda ordered them. And I've got 2 of them sitting here. And I've intentionally not touched them. It'll just ruin you for anything else. Like, you will go look for 30 minutes for this thing before you'll just pick up a channel lock.
I stopped putting vice grips in my everyday carry bag simply because I have those plier wrenches, they call them, and they're 99% as good as about 4 other tools combined.
Yeah,
but they're $100.
And you can put them on a pipe and stand on them. It's just crazy how strong these things are.
Yep. Okay. The lanterns were apparently, was it Irish?
Oh, I saw that.
So the turnips in Ireland that were hollowed out and candles were put in. And now I know where I read that was in Germany. So that was a really old memory from the 90s. Because I'm that old, guys. So next we have Tim. Can you talk about your solar setup on your truck?
I can, except that it's on the interstate somewhere in North Dakota, South Dakota. I don't know. So yeah, I took a 50-watt flexible solar panel, and I went to the hive mind that was the Telegram group, and I said, hey guys, how am I going to attach this? I have a beautiful Ridgit folding tonneau cover on the back of my truck, a 3-way folding one. And so I had it on there my entire 37-day road trip. So I asked my brother-in-law as well, and he said, rivet it down. You'll never lose it. Okay, great. No problem. So I riveted it down, and I went, I don't know how many miles I drove, and it was perfectly fine. It worked great. So for anybody who wants to know, I put it flat on the right behind the box of the truck, and it just sat there. And I had a little 500-watt power station that would sit in underneath. So when I would go from event to event, I would plug it in, and it would take a couple of days of driving to charge it fully, but it was there. It worked great. And we were coming home, and it was so blustery on the prairies, or, it would have been South Dakota, North Dakota. Anyway, it was blowing crosswinds. It was horrible. And all of a sudden I see something white just go whoosh behind me, and it was gone. So I regretted not putting 100-watt on there anyway. So the next time it's going to be riveted and adhered down. So basically what I did. Oh, I don't have one here, but
just
lately
a battery pack.
Yeah, it was one of those 500-watt, looks like a lunchbox, okay. I've got probably a dozen of them now that companies have sent. And so I use those. And that was all I needed in my truck box tent that I had. It would charge all my gear. It would give me some lights, that kind of stuff.
So they make a panel that goes on the ridge, on the hood, on the 4Runners and all the Toyota stuff. It's badass looking. It's like putting a matte black part of a wrap over there. But they're very lacking in power for the amount that you pay for these things, and they adhere on there. But they're just lacking. You can take the rigid solar panel from Harbor Freight of all places, and there's a lot of head-to-heads with that Harbor Freight panel versus a lot of the more expensive panels. And that Harbor Freight was really kicking it out. It was putting the juice out. So I think I'm going to put one of those on top. I've got the Rome cargo boxes on top, and I think I'm going to just attach that permanent or semi-permanently to that lid, because those boxes, when they open, they have struts, so it'll push that up there, and then just run that wire in to charge Jackery or Blue Eddy or anything at that point.
I had looked at running, say, like a permanent outlet into the box or like into the cab of the truck, and I might still do it. And I've been thinking about putting, my next step is a 1500-watt inverter under the back seat, and then running a 110 plug or outlet in the back of the box. So I'll do that as well. But I discovered just that solar panel, and I put it in under the rubber seal, and then I kind of tacked it all up so that the little Y pigtail was in there. And that worked really well for what I wanted. But yeah, I bought all the stuff to run wiring and stuff back to the back of the box of the truck.
Yeah, we've already got power coming, so we'll just pull it through the existing port because we got all the lights and stuff on top of the trucks.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Well, this question isn't going to take long. It's for me. Do your sexy shorts get you traffic and views? I think you're talking about my Hey Baby videos. And
cute.
Sexy shorts. Hey, baby, want to lay my tile? So the reason I'm even doing those is because I was on a live stream with John Willis and Jack Spirko. We were kind of talking about like what's important in relationships and having somebody who is a partner and works. And I jokingly said, "Hey, baby, want to build a rain barrel?" And they're like, "You need to do that, Nicole." So 6 months later, I finally did. And most of the people who watch those are excited to see whatever's going to come out next. And people have started emailing me and sending me ideas. So I think it's definitely gotten some interactions. Most people just think they're hilarious. I get the occasional creeper text and whatever. That was going to happen.
All right.
It was happening
All right,
before.
man. You need you need the dudes. You need the guys being hateful because they will take that shit and put it way more places. And
yeah, they will.
Eventually, there will come a day when you wake up in the morning and you'll just have insane traffic on those things.
Yeah. Yeah, occasionally somebody does call me ugly, and that gets a lot of interaction when they do that, which is kind of funny. But
don't even
I don't know what
they
think they're achieving by that.
Don't delete it. Just leave it there and let other people fight that fight. Don't even give them the satisfaction of knowing you saw it.
Yeah, it's a good point. So Backwoods Butcher, TikTok has me in timeout. Posted a deer carcass, and they didn't like it. Bummer, because your TikToks are awesome.
He is kicking ass and taking names with TikTok as well. So I told him it's like, it's the whole, you got to learn how to play the game in there, because if you want to be, if you want to be into that environment, unfortunately we have to play by the rules, and I don't love it, but if you want to be there and get your message out, and he's doing all, I'm so proud of him. I tell him that all the time, but his stuff is top notch.
And it's a complete different audience. Like that's what I tell guys. Backwoods Butcher was on our thing and we were talking about that. I think it's just a completely different set of eyeballs. So as you develop that eyeballs and you build that audience number up, how do you get them to cross deck and convert to something that you actually own, right? How do we get them to go and sign up for the email? How do we get them to join the text app? And you just do that through giveaways or incentives or whatever. And you might get a 1% conversion, but I mean, if you have 1 million people, that's a big number when you get 1% that'll actually cross over.
Yeah. How do you do your giveaways, John? Do you just do them order stuff, or?
Oh, the truth is we usually forget to do them. We just tell people we're going to do them. And it literally, it's more work to do a giveaway than to sell stuff, because there's not on the giveaway, there's not an actual ticket generated, right? So we'll come on here and I'll go, "Hey, Amanda, which one of these guys should the question and answer from the, members meeting, which guy's question do you like best?" I'm like, "Okay, I like that guy too. Let's send him a couple shirts." Well, then you got to wait for that dude because he's using like Scoopy Loop 22 or whatever. You don't know who he really is. You're like, "Hey, send me an email with your last order number. That way we can pull up your account and just generate a ticket to ship it to you rather than having to hand write it." So that's kind of how we do it.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people that just never get back to you when
Never,
you do a giveaway?
Never. Yeah. We get emails, "Hey, can you do this really super special thing? I ordered this order. Can you jump through 50 hoops and make sure it goes out? And by the way, I need it completely different." And when you reply back to them with like 3 options, if I send out, did we just freeze? If I
No, you're good.
20 emails like that, I only hear back from 2 guys.
Yep. Always. Becky, when we do our live giveaways now, we got to the point where if you're not in the live stream, we don't even do it. And we tell people you have 24 hours to give us a mailing address, or we don't give it away, or we move it to somebody else, because I spent so much time chasing people, and you'd think you'd want to give something away for free, but it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah. We'll use a random number generator and we'll show it on the video. So especially like off Patreon, we can, correlate each member to a number, and then we can just pick off the Patreon that way with the random number generator. "Hey, this guy wins, get a hold of us." And that's how we do that. And if you really want to see the algorithm work, just type out on Facebook or Instagram, "Who wants free shit?" I'll make a post that's like really thoughtful that could actually help people and, affect people's lives. And we'll get 100 comments on it. You put up "Who wants free shit?" Within 2 hours, I have 2,000 comments on there. "Who wants free shit? Tag a friend." And man, that shit really runs. It's insane how many people want free stuff. Guys you've never heard from.
Yep.
I got a question for John. You said Patreon, John. Are you doing just Patreon, or because I think you got a YouTube membership as well, or are they both separate, or are you doing just one?
So we have and Evan's like, I'd rather just have one. It's cumbersome. We have a Patreon, and we build a Patreon video off of our Patreon members' questions. Jeff and I do after we do Pulling the Thread podcast. And then when I do the full sew videos, which are open to the public, anybody can watch those. The items I make, I give them away. You have to be a Patreon member. So it gets them to cross deck, and it gives us 2 ownerships. We can own those data lists in 2 different places. So if I get shut down on Instagram, I still have access to those people who it was important enough for them to join a $5 membership. And that's where we give the free items away that I build on the videos.
The reason I ask, I think, well, I'm going to launch a Patreon in January because I have my patch of the month as well. And this is going to be kind of complimentary to it. But I have so many of those kick-ass in-person interviews that Sean Mills is like, dude, this was his idea. He said, you hate money? He said, you really need to come up with somewhere to have that. So there's going to be some exclusive content in there as well. But I just wanted to know how's your experience been with Patreon? Has it been okay, or?
Yeah, I mean, we don't even promote it or push it really. And we see guys joining it every day. I personally belong to probably 20 Patreons that I don't even watch or interact with. I'm just on them. So, I mean, it's just, I forget. You really want to know what you're paying for, cancel your credit card and see how many notifications you get that first 24 hours where people's payments weren't able to go through.
Yeah, it's a great way to audit your subscriptions. I moved off Patreon, even though I'm technically still there, about 5 years ago when they were starting to boot people for having liberty-based content. And then they stopped that. And so people are on there. But that was why I built a membership portal, was that I was like, well, I didn't get booted this first round, but I don't want to ever think I can't say the thing I want to say.
I hear you, but it's just bullshit games that we have to continue to play. And had I stopped doing all of that stuff, we're about to break 100,000 on YouTube. We wouldn't have ever been there. It never would have happened if I'd have just tucked tail and ran every time YouTube smacked us for something, which is very frequently.
Well, I just bring that up because I've been thinking about re-upping my Patreon. And what I did is included with Patreon was a free login to my website membership.
Cool.
And that was sort of how to cross-pollinate it. But yeah, I just was not, there was a point where I just wouldn't invest anywhere where I was going to get booted. And you're right. Yeah. It actually kind of hurt me a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I love locals. I love MeWe, but I mean, there's nothing there. I mean, literally I still populate, but we get nothing for it. Nothing beats YouTube right now. I mean, even Ken Barry, he's jumped platform to platform to platform. I mean, I know he did Mighty Networks. I know he had Patreon. I don't know where he's finally at. Same with like Ann of All Trades. Like, she's got some community there that you have to pay to join, but it's enormous. It's huge. And as far as, I like free stuff, somebody said, well, I mean, we put out 1,000 hours of free shit every month. I mean, we're to the point right now, you can't even consume the content we're putting out. And I'll bet 50% of our stuff is behind a paywall, and you still can't consume the free stuff. So, I mean, imagine how good the stuff behind the wall is. We can say a lot of other things in the membership areas.
Yep. Backwoods Butcher's going off on blood on TikTok. Yeah. Your subject matter, Backwoods, like having a backup of all your stuff somewhere is probably pretty important if you want to keep it.
I'm sure he has all his YouTube auto populating to Rumble. We do see people using Rumble. I'm sure he knows anything I'm going to tell him he's aware of.
Yep.
Rumble's been pretty good. I live stream, I think 8 different places when I go live, and quite often I will get, 40 or 50 actual views. They have 2 different ways they measure them. There's like somebody just glanced at it when they were scrolling through is one thing, and then somebody actually clicks on it. So, it gets maybe half of what my YouTube live viewers are, and I'm good with that so far. It's a nice little place to just let things land.
You have to do it like Tim Pool does it, and you do your first 90-minute, 2-hour live or whatever your show on YouTube, and then you drive your members, and it's a behind paywall, to Rumble, and then you do it on Rumble where you can cuss or say, you can just be yourself, and you don't have the censorship. So if people are really into the conversation with whoever you have on, the conversation will just be that much better without the censorship when you can actually be yourself on the other network. And you just have to drive it, and that's how you build that audience over there.
Backwoods, you said Rumble is still syncing. Do you ever live stream? Because with StreamYard, it just goes places immediately, which is nice.
I think he might mean his channel. You know, when you first link your channel? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's weird. Mine did it right away.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're cooler than other people, John.
I don't think so.
Did we get you set up on library? What is that now? It's
Odyssey.
Odyssey.
Me? Yeah, I was over there.
Yeah, I think we had to do an introduction for him because his channel was so big, and it could have taken weeks.
Is that even is that thing anymore? I think it's gone, right?
No, it still exists. They got sued by the SEC over their library token. And
that's how you know it was good.
Yeah, and so it's still I think that's still ongoing, but Odyssey exists. I think the library token's gone now.
They had a hell of a time. They had a kind of an infight thing where they split as well, where Odyssey and library became two different things. So the founder, the guy that came on Jack's show, I believe, I don't know. Anyway, half of them left and they kind of split. So but my stuff still goes there. There's one or two people who like seeing it there and they miss it if it's not there. So it doesn't cost me anything to put it there.
This is streaming there right now on mine, not to yours, but and it's the same thing. It's like, well, it doesn't hurt to stream it there. And if I ever get nuked, I've got the whole archive there. So, and then I don't have to keep it here. Not that, I guess if I lost all my videos, whatever, I've got all the audio files backed up. So I am an audio podcast primarily after all. So that's, I don't know. It might hurt for a couple weeks, but then it would unhurt. Then I could re-record all that stuff.
It's like when your phone maxes out and you get that new phone and you save that old one. I have a 5-gallon bucket full of phones I've saved. I've never used a single one of them.
Yep. Me too. Same. And I'll pull all the images and different things off and I'll put it in a folder and it sits there collecting dust. Yep. Never.
The cloud, which is code for someone else's computer.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to say I streamed the Twitch as well. I might get 3 viewers on Twitch, but it's just there. I've been staking it in the sand, and at some point, maybe I'll expand it, or maybe I'll find a different platform that I can slide over to. But I'm just there because I can be. Yeah,
we're streaming the Twitter X right now too.
I've been doing better there. Yeah, I stream there every week or every night I stream, and it's you go back now, and when I first started, I'd get 3 views. And you go back now and I'll get 50 views. So it's definitely, it's just there. And if you're there all the time, you become part of it and people expect it. Yep.
Backwood says I get way more views on YouTube for my podcast than the audio. I'm the other way. I'm way more downloads for the audio. And then I found out they have 2 ways they track that. One, they're all of your downloads, and then they have a filter for unique IP addresses.
What I would think from that is I would think if your audio downloads are higher, your audience is not growing, would be my guess. You're not getting new audience. You're not, because how do people find you now? They find you through videos and shorts and such like that.
Yeah, it's a good question because the audio audience is growing. And I legitimately don't know how they find me. Sometimes I'll know, if I'm on a show and there's a spike. I don't know if the shorts are driving people, but I think some people are just searching topics within the native app for their podcast.
I'm blown away at how many people. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, John.
Doing the shorts, I'd say that we've tripled everywhere from doing the shorts. That's the only thing that's different is the shorts. And that just because our guy builds shorts really well, so they're out of context and they're missing understood. So they go super viral.
Yeah, he does have a good shorts guy. That's a weird statement. A good shorts guy. Thinking like little.
They
It's a
work.
full-time.
I've been using, yeah, I've been using Opus, and it's been working for me for where I put it. I've moved my YouTube shorts to a separate channel that I haven't promoted whatsoever. It's just kind of an experiment where all the shorts and my live streams go. And they have this thing now on YouTube Shorts where you can link your short to the to a single video. And I've been grabbing quite a bit of kind of attention over there as well. So yeah, I enjoy it. It works. TikTok's kind of gone flat, and Instagram's grown quite a bit for me the last little while.
That's been my experience too, is I'm getting more on Instagram lately in the last 2 months. But I expect that cycle to go somewhere else again. It seems on the platforms where I haven't been on there for a gajillion years that they cycle around. Are you still using Opus?
I am, yeah, because for me, I have a few options. I could hire somebody and it would take a significant portion of my income that I'm making from content creation, which I thought about and I had done. And to be honest, the 1 month I worked with them, their quality was no better than what I was getting from Opus. So I'm happy with Opus, and it does it, for a half an hour a day. I have access to what I need for right now.
Yeah. It's harder to get the provocative shorts out of Opus than the way John's doing it, though.
Oh, absolutely it is. Yes.
Yeah.
And it will come to a point where I will outsource that to somebody at a point when I'm ready to make that investment.
So a hack that Jack figured out is if you are like listening to your own content and you think that would make a good short this minute to that minute, you can just upload that and turn it into a short through Opus, and it adds all the captions and everything. So he's started doing that on some of his stuff.
And our stuff cuts out of long form content. So we'll do the podcast on Wednesday. And then once it loads up, my short guy will listen to that, and I'll listen to it as well. And then also when I do a live feed, if there's something that I get super animated about, I'm like, that'll be a good short. So I'll just message it. Hey, I was talking about this in here. We should build some shorts out of here. And we'll rip, 2, 3, 4 shorts out of that. So just take notes or, mark it somehow so your people know, so that to go back to it.
Yeah. I've started working with somebody to help me get the volume of shorts going, because I know what I need to do, but I am not executing on it. And I just realized, you know what? This is a really good thing to use that virtual assistant for. Because
and
we can have a meeting once a week and then go for it.
And just finding the right one. It's just like graphic arts people. You'll go through 10 of them, but one of them, you'll throw things at 5 people, and there's going to be one person that sends you back the best one every time, and that's your person.
Yep. Yeah, the person I'm working with listens to my podcast and has for many years, and so there is not confusion about the brand and what we're going for.
Yep.
So and I think, Tim, that's why when you outsource something like a podcast like ours or your video stuff to somebody, they maybe don't quite catch the spirit of what you're trying to accomplish, and that's why you're not getting the sort of the quality you want.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
What's the comments in here? Good pants guy, and somebody else said, are they at 2 minutes? Are they pants? What are we talking about here?
The shorts pun, like short videos or short. Yeah, they went on to pants because pants is just a funny word. Like that's a great one if you want to make people laugh and you want to cuss. You just say, "Oh, pants," and yeah, I don't know, it's dorky, but I'm dorky, so it works. We
just got a freeze dryer about a week and a half ago. I've been running straight for about 10 days now, and it is unreal. It's way easier than I expected. And yeah, anyway, I love it. I thought I'd bring that up and we could chat about it at some point today.
Well, let's talk about it.
What size?
We got the medium one. And as soon as we got it, we're like, should have went bigger, but it's got 5 trays. And I have run that thing constant since the day I got it. And I've got probably 8 batches of pre-cooked frozen meat in the freezer ready to go in for the next one. And I got bags and bags of Mylar bags sealed up already.
Cool.
Yeah, I just got a really nice Harvest Right commission because I have an affiliate link.
Nice.
And and I decided I was going to get a new sofa in my living room, and I bought it. And the very same day, that was the size of my commission. So whatever that person bought was amazing. So thank you, person who bought a really nice freeze dryer. But yeah, their affiliate program's not bad.
I gotta say, and if somebody were starting a channel today, go with individual brand affiliate partnerships like that. That has become by far my biggest moneymaker, because they'll partner. You can put up an affiliate link with a lot of companies without having any audience or a very small audience to begin with, because they'll just say, yeah, you can sign up for affiliate program, and just make the best damn harvest right video you can find, or the best damn EMP shield video you can find, or whatever one it happens to be. And you will, man, that's a way to grow some money pretty quick.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's important to decide you like the thing before you recommend it, though. Like I've done fairly well with the Opus Pro affiliate program.
Nice.
It's a one-time thing. So then once they have that relationship, so I feel like unless you're growing at the same time, that has a diminishing point of return. But they give like 25% of the first purchase of a person you refer, and I totally use their product every week, so I can genuinely say I love the product, and this is one of the ways I'm able to churn out as many shorts as we are right now.
But they only pay you only get paid once, or do you get a monthly commission?
No, you get paid once, but the way you buy it is by the year. So you'll get a $300 lead for them.
But you get paid for every new client that comes and uses your code, right?
Right.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just a one-time purchase from the client. So the way I try to do affiliate codes is to have a long tail for the person that's referred it. So I give referrals for longer. But that's just me. Because I know everybody's trying to do like that long tail stuff.
Yeah, if you buy up, I mean, you're going to make a lot more commissions off Harvest Right if you have a Harvest Right freeze dryer. You're going to make a lot more commissions off EMP Shield if you have EMP shields, and you actually show your audience, look, these are installed on my circuit boxes. These are on all these trucks. I bought these, paid for them. I'm actually, and people are going to be more apt to listen to your, commercial ad read, whatever, if you actually build videos. And I mean, we have a Harvest Right. We run it all the time. If anything, I don't talk about an affiliate code. That's where I'm always lacking, is the call to action with that. But people always ask about that Harvest Right constantly.
Yeah, they want to know what's in there. What's Amanda making, or what do you guys freeze drying? Yep.
I gotta say, as somebody just jumping into the freeze drying thing, there's a lot of content on YouTube, but not a lot of good freeze drying content. Like you have to filter through. For instance, like I put in freeze drying heavy cream the other day, and there was so much stuff that was almost, I couldn't even find anything good. Like there is a need. It's unbelievable that there is a need for good quality freeze drying content on YouTube. I didn't think that would be a thing.
The way I get my answers for the freeze dryer, Tim, is I go to Betty's Harvest Right freeze dryer group on Facebook and I ask the question, and then I get a couple of clearly good answers and a bunch of BS on there. But like for something like, can I freeze dry peanut butter or heavy cream? That's like the best way. And you're right. Somebody could just do a YouTube channel focused only on good information on how to freeze dry things. And not do, and just like your goal is not how many videos I can make, it's to make the 20 to 30 best videos on this and just have it be that. That would be amazing.
So
that would probably get a ton of views.
Yeah, you cannot freeze dry peanut butter or heavy cream, right?
You could try.
Well, I did freeze dry heavy cream. It just won't last very long. So yeah, it's shelf stable for maybe a year or something. We'll see. But
peanut butter ends up an oily, awful mess, but ask me how I know. Yeah, there's a way to do it because you can buy freeze-dried peanut butter.
Yeah, well, it's different. And is it freeze-dried peanut butter, or is it defatted peanut butter that's been freeze-dried? It's not peanut butter.
Yeah. Yep. Question for John. I love listening to Pulling the Thread. I can't find any new ones on Fountain or the Apple app. I see they're posted on YouTube regularly. Are those old and getting reposted?
So we did 126 episodes. We did them back to back 5 days a week up to 126, and then we stopped. And then for 2 years, people kept asking for them. We brought them back. They are on YouTube only. There are 75 currently recorded. Now we're about to do 80 this week, I think. It's $10 membership. It's behind our join paywall, and you get them as current events. They come out for free about 90 days behind. So if you don't want to join, no problem. They're 90 days late. There's a ton of relevant material in every one of them. But if you want them where we're talking about what actually happened today, tomorrow, that's the current event level of our membership. And with that, you get a ton of other stuff. There's like, I think 160 Q&As with me and Amanda, and a ton of other stuff in there as well. And those Q&As, those come out free also, but they're a year behind right now.
Yep. And if you're a member, you get to ask questions about, like, you get to get your queue into the Q&A.
Yeah, we build all those videos off of that. And there's a ton of shit in there that we say that I was never going to put public facing. Like on the John and Amanda videos, we talk about anything, business, relationship, I mean, anything. And it's turned into something that it's kind of gone into something beyond what we thought it would be. And we definitely were not going to put those out. But finally, I'm like, just put them out. There's good information in there that people will benefit from.
Yep, John, you should go sign up.
You can always unsign.
See your subscriber thing up on this feed today. That's the way to get signed up.
Yeah, you can always unsubscribe. I mean, just if you don't like it. But I mean, there's a lot of content there. There's a ton of content up there.
How fast did that build, John, once you decided to do YouTube subscriptions? Was it a slow start, or did a bunch of people sign up out of the chute? Like, what was your experience with that?
Well, we already had 700,000 people on Facebook. So I would say it was slow, but there was enough there to build those videos off of. Those videos are literally built off what the audience interacts with. They ask the questions, we build the video. And now it's just exponential. It's just as it's that big snowball going downhill, gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yep. And then when one person likes it, they recommend it to another. I like that part of when you get to that phase that people are like, no, you have to sign up for this thing.
And those are real recommendations, right? That's a little more hoops to jump through when you're in a private group to recommend that. It's a lot more work than just pushing a button and it puts it on your Facebook page.
Yep.
So those are real, like vetted, listeners. A lot, I'd say they're higher value listeners.
Okay, Tim, I should know this, but I haven't been lurking on your YouTube channel enough. Do you have memberships set up?
No, that's actually coming January 1st. I think I'll probably turn it on with YouTube as well, but I know that Patreon takes a lot smaller amount. But again, I subscribe to a bunch of people on Patreon. They seem to have fixed their interface quite a bit, and they allow you to link directly to YouTube videos. So yeah, I'm definitely going to turn that on. January 1st is the plan, or January 2nd. I got some cool, like I said, I recorded 13 or 14 in-person interviews with some really cool people like Nicole and Jack and Paul Wheaton and Joel Salatin. And yeah, I got a bunch. So that's where they're going to be.
Oh, wait, you owe me a Joel Salatin video, don't you?
I think I sent it to you.
Did you?
I think so. I'm sure I did, but I'll double check. Yeah.
It was, double check, because you shot me with Joel Salatin too, but I don't know. Yes,
I sent you the Google Drive link. But
I will say I was not tracking a lot of details the week after Self-Reliance Festival. So it's possible if it was in Telegram, I could have missed that one. So how's my second favorite snow Mexican doing? That's you.
Hey, we got our first real snowfall the other day, which is insane. Normally we are, minus 20 in November, and this has been, it's been gorgeous. And we're going balls to the wall with the daycare. We just got our fenced in 50 by 50 yard done. And I don't know if I mentioned this. I mean, I'd say how proud I am of Becky, but so we decided to open a second one. And I don't know if I've told you this yet or not, John, but in a city an hour away. So Becky said she was going to get on a board locally with, kind of bring all the different daycares together. And this one lady's like, hey, I really like you. Do you want to buy my daycare too? So Becky's like, sure. So now we have 3.
That's awesome.
When are you going to start one in Tennessee?
I talked to Dave Siegler about the whole concept of that, because for us to do that would put us, would allow us to get that, what do they call it? It's a business visa, and you can basically land for 10 years at a time, as long as you need $100,000 investment, which for a daycare is not much. That's what they consider a significant investment. And it allows us to live 10 years at a time, as long as you're actively involved in the business. You can't just like buy property and say, I'm going to rent these out and then sit somewhere else in the country. You have to at least be involved. So that is on our radar for as the girls graduate from high school in 4 years. So we're definitely looking at it.
So we're going to get you full time here if that happens?
I hope so. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, at least half the year. Yeah. I'm almost half the year now, but yeah, as much as we can, for sure. And yes, daycares are very profitable.
Yep. I wouldn't know that, but
it's okay.
But for those of you looking for a business to invest in, like hearing that's one to look at, I guess.
They're I mean, I don't want to just say, oh, look, we just flicked the switch and started it. We needed to build.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, there's so many governmental hoops to jump through. That's the downside to wanting to get involved in something like that, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know what the liability insurance on that looks like either. That should be fun here.
$2 million liability to start with on any of the locations we have. And yeah, and then just don't even bother looking at transporting kids, because that's a whole nother thing. And then, if your playground is attached to the ground, that's a whole nother liability again. So for us, we just have like climbing structures that you can just slide around, and then all of a sudden it's not a liability. So I don't know.
Bizarre. What's a $2 million policy look? What's the payments on that a month? What might that look like?
I'd have to ask Becky on the daycare one, but I can tell you, I don't know if I've told you guys this or not, but I sold my snow and mow business as well. That was a big step for us. I got rid of that as of August 31st this year. And I was paying around $5,000 a year for $2 million liability for snow removal. So it wasn't cheap.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like, what did it take for you to decide it was time to sell it? And then what did it look like to sell it?
Yeah, well, the first thing is that I knew that if I didn't sell it, I would just stop working on the business eventually, because I was into there you go, 460. So significantly less for a daycare than it was for snow removal.
Yeah, that's cheap actually.
For me, it was, okay, so I had handyman, right? So I call that the mow and snow end of things. It was snow, mowing, and all the odd job stuff. And then I had the property management, which was looking after all of these rentals. And then I had my content creation, and then we had the daycare. And so it was getting to the point where I either needed to hire somebody to run it, which I didn't want to have the headache of employees, or I was going to ignore it long enough that it fizzled away to nothing. And so Becky looked at me one day. She goes, you need to sell this now while we can and get something out of it, because it's an asset with a customer base, And so basically what was happening was I wasn't taking on any new customers because I had all this other work. And so as an existing customer would pass away or retire, whatever it would happen to be, you would lose them. So yeah, we decided we put it up for sale in the spring. And it took about 6 months of meeting with these guys and chatting back and forth. $1,500 worth of lawyer later, which wasn't bad. Had to sign a no compete clause for 10 years, which is first time I've ever had to do that. Just a lot. If anybody wants to know about selling something through a lawyer, you can never do anything with a single meeting. It's always 3, 4, 5 meetings in a row when you go. But it was a process. I had to make myself available to the new guys for the entire winter season. So if they need me, they can call, or, and it's fine. We're on a friendly basis, but you put all this stuff in the contract ahead of time. So there's no out of the ordinary expectations where somebody gets pissed off because you didn't do what they wanted you to do. So have everything in the, in the paper and make a really good list of your assets. It was fun. I enjoyed the process. I'd never done something like that before.
Having been through that once, would you consider building another business with the goal of selling it off, or was it more probable than
absolutely? Yeah.
Why?
I would say I'm going to guess, and Becky could chime in on this, but at some point, maybe 10 years down the road, that's probably our plan with the daycares as well. And because what's kind of nice about it is you can pull money out of it as you go. It's your income, or, an income source for a while. And then when you get to the point where you want to do something different, or you're looking to pull back or retire, it's almost like you're setting aside a nest egg. So everything you've invested, all the time and all the money, has built into this really cool thing. What I sold my handyman business for, I had all these assets that I bought piecemeal here, there, and everywhere. And all of a sudden it was like money in the bank. And so then we get to take it and we use some of that money to buy another rental property. So absolutely we would, because to me, you're investing time and money now for a nice return down the road, hopefully. So yeah, we would definitely do that again.
So when you sold that, they bought what? They got the equipment and the customer base, basically?
Yep. Yeah, they did. So yeah, go ahead.
And then they cashed you out one payment?
So the way we did it was I actually appreciated the way they came back. I gave them a number. They liked the number itself, but they came back and they said, here's what we'd like to do. We want to give you 75% of that number up front. And then we want to give you the rest of that number after the snow season's over, a percentage based on how much income we get from that. So if we get more customers, you're going to actually make more than you asked for. And if we don't get as many, you're going to make a little bit less. And it looks like we're probably going to come out about exactly what I asked for to start with. So I like the way they structured that deal.
So did you have eyes into all of the billing, so you were able to just see at any time what was going on, or did they have to come in and open their books for you to review?
So first off, I had to give them our books before we started, and then give them a number of the customers and that sort of thing. And I don't have to at the end of snow season. So April 1st this year, they will come back with a number and say, this is what we made. And I have no reason not to doubt them, but if I thought it was weird, we go to their accountant and they go through the books and work it all out. But yeah, so there's a process in place for that. If it came to the point where we're like, oh, I think you did better than that, we could look at it. But yeah.
Cool. Well, I was thinking if they come back and they're like, we did less than this.
Yeah.
Like anything over, it's a bonus.
Well, that's what I kind of appreciated about them. It was a nice, it was professional, but it was a good deal because they came back and they're like, hey, if we make more, that percentage will be a little higher. And if we make less, it'll be a little less. So we were each taking on the same amount of risk.
I see Frank says that him and his mother made good money boarding horses. We know a guy that boards horses, and that basically pays for him to have a vet tech and a clinic on site from the horses, and the revenue from boarding horses that fully pays for him to have a veterinarian on site. And I believe the vet actually stays there 24 hours. So he basically has a doctor on the property 24 hours with a full, clinic. So all of his animals are covered and everything.
That's cool because animals don't know that they're only supposed to get sick between 8 and 5 Monday through Friday.
They almost
not only that.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to the hospital for wound closure anymore.
Oh man. Yeah, we need that here. Homestead Medical, you need to move to the holler because, there's a need.
He talks about moving to Tennessee. I would, yeah.
Hey, I could probably carve you out a spot. Just saying.
I probably could too.
Hey,
yeah, you can't have to deal with horse. He said, then you got to deal with horse people. Yeah, horses are always trying to kill themselves. If there is something that they can eat that will kill them, a horse will swallow it.
When I first started working at the farm supply place, I always had this joke that I thought was hilarious. And I would always say, what's the fastest way to turn money into shit? And I would say, buy a horse. Well, I tried that on at the farm supply place where there was an old rancher standing next to me when I said it. I thought he was going to jump over the counter and kill me. he didn't think that was the least bit funny at all. I was like, okay, I guess I got to know my audience.
His accountant probably thought it was funny. There's two kinds of horse people. People that are broke because they have horses, or people that have so much money that they can have horses. And that's it's just like when we were breeding bearded dragons. I can breed a just standard ugly bearded dragon, and the babies wholesale for $15-$20 a piece. I can breed $5,000 bearded dragons, and the babies wholesale for $1,000 a piece. The upkeep and the maintenance and the inputs and the feed are all the same. You might as well breed expensive animals and have good stock to start with.
Yeah, that makes sense. Can you send me a list of things that kill horses so I can give them to my wife's 34-year-old money suck?
I can tell you where I grew up, there was always people that you knew that didn't have a pot to piss in, but somehow every so often they would just have a horse. They might have, you know, 1/8 of an acre on their front lawn that is an absolute mud hole, but somehow they'd put a horse in there. And the thing, eventually, you know, I want to call it child protective. It's not child services, but animal services or whatever would come in and confiscate it. And I could never figure that out. I just, I don't know. It's always like having a, go ahead.
We had the lady worked for us who would come in and literally eat bread. There wasn't a sandwich. It was bread. She was so impoverished and so broke because all of her money went when the animal protective services came in and finally took a horse away from somebody that should be euthanized. This lady took it, and she had like 20 of these horses. And I mean, every dime she had went to taking care of dead horses. It was just insane.
Yeah, when I moved here, I'd been here about 5 years when my neighbor from down the road, hey, John Hendricks just joined, just like he said he was going to. So he does what he said. Awesome. Welcome. He was like the regional manager for the farmers co-op. And so I moved here. I'm like some city chick who's going into the co-op asking for organic chicken feed. And he's like, Nicole, is that you? I know that had to be you, you know, like totally stereotyping about the hippie chick from Oregon. And 5 years in, he goes, you know, Nicole, I got to hand it to you. When you moved in, I thought, sure, you were going to get some horses and that property was just going to be all mud. And I was like, nope, I got goats instead. Yeah. They're on my roof all the time.
People will have their children taken away while they're busy taking care of dying horses. It's insane.
My wife had a coworker one time that, like I said, I mean, literally had their kids taken away from them before. But they would have horses, and it was, anyway, I don't get it. Same, man. Literally bread sandwiches. That's what she ate.
Yeah. Costs a friend €150 horse per month to do all the work ourselves. Never as happy as horse riding. I love riding other people's horses. I think that's a great way to do it.
I like being able to get in the truck and drive away when we're done.
You know, I will say, like, the topography of our sheep pasture would pair well with horses to check fence. But I don't want to take care of a horse. So there we go.
Yep. You don't have to saddle and unsaddle that four-wheeler out there.
No, I'm just always afraid I'm going to roll the four-wheeler on the hill because it's so steep.
Yeah.
But I've been told it's impossible for me to do that. So
you just need a ranch hand.
That's a good point. Any ranch hands interested, reach out.
You have one.
I do. Well, I mean, I have the guy running the ranch, but he could use a hand.
Yeah.
When I was at prepper camp, I talked to a guy there who said, you know, there is a need for homesteader babysitters, that people that are vetted within the community that could travel around and look after. And this dude, I didn't really know him, but his big, you know, he's like, well, how do I know? How would I trust somebody? And I said, well, because they're vetted within the community. He's like, well, how do I know I trust my community? I said, if you don't, you're in the wrong community, dude. But for us,
Bob,
go ahead.
Same thing, man. Bob met somebody here at SRF that was from Ohio, and they had some local Ohio group, you know, prepping group. And he said, hey, I need a ranch hand. And a lady showed up with her husband, who was a gas guy. And Bob has 2 gas proms on his property. Like it was just like just randomly from a meetup here, and he's got full time, and he said they do an awesome job. They do so much on the property. And Bob has a full on farm, and he doesn't even live on the farm. It's like 45 minutes away, and there's people there that take care of the animals every day.
Hey, baby, want to be right my ranch hand? Thanks, Amanda. Yep. All of mine are about construction right now. So want to smooth my floor is going to be coming soon.
Want to level my deck. There's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, we get some good brainstorms going around here for those, but Thanksgiving had a lot of openings.
So we started a group in our, so what I love about, again, I talked about this the other night, but in our community, Yozik started a community group called Camp Hope, because the first episode that I came back from Self-Reliance Festival, I told everybody, I said, all right, I'm done being fat. I'm done. I'm fucking tired of it, sick of it. And so we've got this incredible group. There's 14, 15 people who are, we just share every single day. And so every day since I've left Self-Reliance Festival, calorie deficit and fucking worked out every single day. And it is, I feel like $1 million, but having that group in the community has been good. And yeah, so I just wanted to shout those guys out for that.
The accountability is a great way to do that. So,
Jules,
Absolutely.
Are you in Tennessee? Are you in Camden, Tennessee?
She is not.
You're looking for somebody?
Yeah, I need somebody. Yeah.
She's mobile though, and she comes out of the Midwest preparedness kind of community.
Awesome. Right on. Yeah, I need a person, like 7 days a week person.
Yep. Well, now
She's
that that's out on the internet, maybe somebody will be your 7 days a week person who you can count on. The deal is, when you get that person, you need somebody you can count on.
Yeah, and it's a couple hours a week. I mean, a couple hours a day at most. I mean, we can find work for that person. It can definitely become other work, but a couple hours.
So everybody who's been looking for the elusive 10-hour-a-week job, you just found the 14-hour-a-week job.
Yeah, I mean, we could scale it for sure.
Yeah. It's just, that's something that we joked about when I was first going out on my own, is like, from a security standpoint, it'd be great to have that elusive 10-hour-a-week job that just pays something because you feel more stable emotionally, but everybody wants more.
We had a man show up here we had a guy show up in a school bus that he had converted with 2 kids. And he said, I'm here to work. And he worked, man. That dude worked like 16 hours a day. But you've got when you find those guys, you've got them for about a month, 2 months, maybe 3 months. And then they're on to somewhere else. They will come in and work. Like, they will work so much and so fast that you're literally scurrying around trying to figure out shit for them to do. They work so quickly.
Which is a great situation to be in every so often.
It is. They did the pond, they did the rabbit house, they did the pole barn. I mean, they built everything while they were here. Just insane. Taught his daughter to sew. Like, we would bring her back anytime she's got a job that she wants a job.
Yep.
Where did they go from there? From you?
Oh, who the hell knows, man? I heard they were in Texas, they're in Wyoming, running miles of fence line. I mean, just all over, in just high demand when you have a person that is that capable. And then, like, when you look at my rabbit barn, that sucker's built out of 8x8s, and all the horizontals are dual 2x8s that have little blocks between. I mean, that whole thing's bolted together with big lag bolts and nuts. And I mean, that sucker's never coming down. It puts everything else here to shame. You look at it and you're like, man, I hate that structure sitting next to it. It just looks so raggedy.
Yeah, I was not here when my joist got replaced, but all I heard for 3 days from Tactical was how he was staying up till 9 o'clock at night trying to keep ahead of Ken Esch, who was always coming in the next day, because that dude works fast.
That's cool. That's cool.
But the whole thing was done in 3 days. It was just like, poof. So
speaking of entrepreneurs, you just saw Clark Deacon there. He said, I wish my employees would work that fast. I can't remember exactly Clark's age. It's either 21 or 22. He lives in Saskatchewan. He's got a wife and 2 little kids, and he runs his own business full time. Just leased a great big workspace for himself, and has been doing incredible with that. But I love, because there's so many people that just want to shit on Gen Z or whatever, and you're gonna 23. I knew I was close, and you're gonna find in every generation there's going to be lazies and not lazies, but that dude works, man. He works.
Yeah, so I was with somebody who is in Gen Z who is discouraged by their generation not seeing through the propaganda. And I was like, I feel like in my experience, my limited experience, Gen Z sees through it more than a lot of other generations. Unless they're all in. And he said, well, I hope that's true. And I was like, well, you woke up. So
well, he didn't wake up. He probably was awake, right? He was probably raised by what, millennials? There was just these polls that have been taken about if you were going to take a month off of work, how much money would you need in a bank account to feel comfortable? And they polled it, and the general consensus from millennials was that they would need $100,000, right? Fucking insane. You've got it's just crazy, right? So I saw another meme recently said, everybody has those people that they call, and then you realize that you are those people. We are the people that they call, right? We don't have anybody that we call when we have an issue like that. And there's those people exist everywhere. It's not necessarily an age thing. It's just an upbringing thing or an exposure thing, right? When you go, and especially when you start working as a young person, a real physical job, it's very easy to see where your positioning is in that crew. And then when you have had enough of that physical labor and you're like, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm going to start my thing. And until you truly have employees, it just hits differently. When you have people that you are paying to do a task, and then when you are also still a person who is paid in that food chain to do a task, it recalibrates you.
The thing I want to know about those outrageous answers, John, is
where are they coming from?
Where are they coming from? Like, do they in fact already spend $100,000 a month? Or are they just making up a number because they have no concept of money? Like,
I mean, some of it's for shock value, right? They polled all these college girls and they're like, how much should a man spend on a diamond, on a wedding ring for you? And they're like, $100,000. Bitch, you haven't made $100,000 in your entire fucking life. Like, it's insane. There are people that live that way, but it's just crazy. I mean, I think that they've just been programmed through this thing, they're just calibrated way differently. They live in a world that we keep people alive in this world that won't keep themselves alive.
Mm-hmm.
What is it supposed to be, like 6 months salary or something is supposed to go into that ring? 3?
Yeah, it used to be 3, and that's all from the beers.
Think about the honeymoon you could take.
Dude, I spent, I think it maybe was $300 on Becky's engagement ring, because that was a quarter of my month's salary. It's all I had. And it was just a little ring to surprise her. And, she loved it. It would, yeah.
Think about the property you could buy. Like, go buy, man, kids all the time. I tell young people when I want this, I want that. I'm like, go buy property. Your parents don't own any of it. And with what you're talking about buying right now, you could go buy property. You can be a property owner. They're not making that shit anymore.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. And property is freedom. It's not freedom, but it is freedom.
Sure it is. And I hear, a lot. And I don't want to be like an old man yelling at clouds here. I really don't. But you hear it all the time. It costs so damn much money to rent. Yeah, it does. And I see the reports all the time, and the news stories, Toronto and Vancouver, the price of a 1-bedroom in Toronto is like $3,000. Then what the hell are you doing in Toronto? Why are you living there? Move to Provost, Alberta, where we are, where you could still buy a decent rundown house in town for $60,000, $80,000, fix it up and rent out your basement. Why wouldn't you do that? Anyway, I don't understand at all.
Oh, I remember one time when my salary was $40,000 one year. which I thought was doing pretty good at the time. And somebody I knew who lived in Manhattan told me they were paying $20,000 a year in rent. And I'm like, that's literally half of what I earn. I could not even fathom like how
Probably
much.
people who spend that a month now.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure.
Mm.
And it was for a studio apartment.
Oh,
but it was in the right place.
I don't know. You couldn't pay me. Well, maybe you could for a year, but to move into a city, I don't get it. There's so much downside to it.
I think you almost need to live in a city for a little while to appreciate the freedom of not living in the city. You know, like kids grow up on a homestead, a farm, or rural, and they just like, what do they want to do? They want to escape to the city. I think you almost need to expose them to that, to be calibrated to appreciate the freedom. Like when we left California, as soon as we crossed into Arizona, we stopped at a gas station, and at the gas station we bought fireworks and lit the fireworks at the gas station. Right? You'd have had a task force. There would have been helicopters and shit in California. Like they arrest you just for having fireworks in California when we literally just across this state line, and it's different.
We are talking about the state that confiscates fruit, John.
You are right. We've stopped at fruit, and the fruit stop places are in the craziest places, like in the middle of the desert. They're like, "Do you have any fruit?" Like that's what you're worried about?
There was a road I used to drive to the beach that crossed into California for 1 mile and came out, and there was no way off this road. Fruit confiscation right there.
Yeah, you can have 20 non-domestic other than U.S. citizens. I mean, fucking crazy.
Yep.
It's bizarre that we have so many friends come from Canada, and U.S. Border Patrol literally gives them so much hassle coming across. But if they just came to the southern border, they could just come across with everybody they want. It's asinine.
But people ask me all the time, why do you want to go down there? Because everybody I get it all the time from people in our town. You're going to move down there eventually, aren't you? And I just smile and give them that little, but people don't understand. As soon as you get a little taste of a little more of that freedom, it's hard to go back. Even my kids, when I took Charlotte and Alice down to Montana for the weekend, Charlotte was half joking, but she's like, I'm not sure I want to go down there, Dad. She says there's school shootings every week down in the States. And I'm like, we were down there for a day. She's like, oh, I get why you like it here, don't you, Dad? 1 day. And she looked at me and I'm like, there you go, sweetheart.
Yep.
Oh, I have friends who think that they're very likely to get gunned down in a restaurant if they come here, who are in other countries. They're like, I couldn't come there because you guys can have guns and I might get shot in a restaurant. And I'm like, that's actually not a fear I have on the regular.
No. It's like M. Night Shyamalan's The Village, right? They have to have that fear to keep you from leaving the village.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember when I traveled to Peru, though, people calling me and telling me not to go because it wasn't safe because of the drug lords. You know what I didn't do? Go to places where the drug lords were.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, maybe not there. I don't know.
You can find bad places everywhere. And it is though, like, and there you go. And if someone starts shooting, I can shoot back. That's the big difference. That's what I love about being down there. But whatever, it's the same as, it's still taken me a little getting used to traipsing around in the Tennessee woods because I'm not used to being in areas that have things that will jump up, bite you, and kill you. But I haven't run into one yet. And eventually you just start walking around in the woods. You don't act like an idiot, but it's not a thing. Like you don't walk around in fear all the time. If I did, that would be stupid.
Well, we have poisonous snakes here, right?
Yes.
I spent my first 2 years during snake season not hiking in the woods because of snakes, which was stupid.
Everything
because there are not that many snakes.
Bite you, poke you, sting you, or lay eggs in you. It's the little things you got to worry about, not the big things.
Snakes, by and large, prefer to run away from the scary two-legged critter. Like they would, unless you're between the snake and where it needs to go, like a water snake getting back to water. I don't know. I've never really had the issue. I also don't usually cause rattlesnakes to rattle, so I don't know that they're near me. sometimes, and other people are like, "Wait, there's a rattlesnake." Oh,
Yeah, we have all the
I mean,
venomous. We've got all the
yeah,
venomous snakes here. We've looked for the first couple of years we were here. We go snake hunting every week, and I've yet to see a rattlesnake here. They're here. We've seen cottonmouths, copperheads. We've even got some eastern coral snakes, but it's not an issue.
yeah.
like I said, we just live our life. We cut trees, I dig holes in the whatever. It is what it is. I don't know. I mean, you
Don't
can't.
you have the big bears up there in Canada?
Sure, we do.
The
The
moose,
stuff
yeah.
we have up here. Just that would be the equivalent of somebody saying, "Well, I'm never going to go for a car ride in the middle of winter because I don't want to break down the side of the road in -40." Well, you're just not an idiot about it. You pack the right type of gear and you learn to live with it. Some people ask me, "How do you live in -40?" Well, you don't die. I mean, that's really all there is to it. That's all. You just don't be an idiot.
Yeah, the numbers you used to hear, and I don't know if they're correct still, but it was more people die every year from bee sting and lightning strike than snake bite in the United States.
Sure.
Well, it's usually not deadly if you get bit by a snake.
I've been bit by a snake, full envenomation, left thumb, 1986, rattlesnake, Southern Pacific rattlesnake. I've been bit by snakes.
Yeah, I bet that hurt for a while.
It goes super numb, and then it itches because the swelling and the skin is going to crack. I was to the hospital within 30 minutes, 6 bottles of anti-venom overnight, out of school for 6 weeks. I still have you can feel the difference in the two thumbs still today. When it's super cold, this one still kind of turns white.
Were you messing with the snake? Is that why you got bit on the
Oh
hand?
yeah. I had hundreds of rattlesnakes. Yeah, it was a snake I had in a bag. I'm not even left-handed, and I reached in the bag left-handed to pull the snake out. Yeah, of course I was fucking with the snake. People get like most venomous envenomations are dealt with people. It's people that have the snakes in captivity, and it almost always happens when you have somebody else there. First of all, you shouldn't be dealing with hot animals by yourself, but the envenomation always happens when you have another person because you're talking to the other person, and most of it involves a beer.
Beer.
Jack always say it's almost always like college age men, stupid young guys who are acting a fool.
Yeah, because it's not people with families and children that have a fucking cobra in their living room. Of course, it's young people.
Wait, I had a pet piranha when I was 22 years old. I was a senior in university, and I had a piranha in a fish tank.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have a piranha. Well, maybe I would. I don't know, but just some stupid things you do. Yeah, I
mean,
would.
we get Oscars and Pacus. I mean, they're just not as aggressive feeders.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not wrong there, Lady Lou.
That's why women live long. Yes, but women have way more car accidents.
Okay, we're waiting for the comments on that one to come up. We'll see what happens.
Somebody's going to say, no, men have more. Men do have more because more men drive longer distances than women. But when you actually look at the numbers, women have more vehicle accidents. That's why you cost more on insurance. Actually, it's not. It's testosterone in younger men cost more on insurance.
No, insurance is a whole other racket.
All of it. Yeah, you were right. Imagine if you could.
Driven down? Go ahead. There's a little lag there. Sorry, John.
Imagine if you could just go out in your backyard and get some piece of some plant and take that, and it actually cured you, versus going to a doctor who gave you a pill and then you needed 3 or 4 more to keep the first one from killing you. Imagine if over the last 20, 30, 50, 60 years, you have been conditioned to believe things that used to heal are now in fact poisonous themselves. What were you going to say, Tim? Have I ever driven where?
Sorry. Yeah, we were talking about driving. There was a lag. I was going to fill in. Have you ever gone down to Savannah, Tennessee, which I didn't know existed? But
yes. Yep.
Yeah. So going through there, once you get past the Tennessee River, I guess maybe it's a spillway or a floodway. There's a house down there or a building that's we were talking earlier about stilts. I was just reminded of it. It's 3 stories high, and the bottom 2 is just like open frame concrete. And then the top one is a house sitting on top of it. And I just wondered if anybody out there knows the story behind that, because I'd meant to ask when I was on somewhere that a lot of people in the Tennessee area would be.
So I do not know, but now that you are a Tennessee resident for the most part, on Facebook you should join a group called Abandoned Tennessee.
Okay.
You'll dig it.
I will. Yeah. I love stuff like that.
And then we can co-host and start doing new YouTube stuff.
So there is a drive-in theater about 15 minutes heading toward Nashville. I stopped the other day when Becky and I were there. We just kind of, it totally says don't go in, but we still maybe
In
or maybe
Waverly.
didn't. Yeah.
My friend owns it. We can go over there.
I would, yeah. All I did was just go up to the ticket booth. I would love to go in and see the projection area and everything.
Oh yeah, the doors kicked in. It's totally vandalized. Okay. The guy from the trucking place across the street, that's where we buy all our shipping containers. He does that lot next to him. They take all of those shipping containers and build them into the wood chipper trucks for the paper pulp industry. That's all LMC, I think, is his company.
Nice. Yeah. Anyway, I had you on one time on the show talking about exploring stuff, and I love it. There's nothing more fun.
Yeah, we'll go to all the haunted places.
I would love that. We'd have some fun with that.
Yes. Yeah.
Regarding Savannah, AutoFab, do you know him?
Yeah. Just a little bit.
He lives near Savannah. He might actually know the answer to your question.
Okay. I'll reach out to him.
Yeah. Because he's been in that area, I think, a decade now or so.
And you've got something coming up, don't you, John? What's the new project you guys are working on? The reality show or something?
Homestead Apprentice.
Oh, did we lose?
No, he's there.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know if I lost you or not. Yeah. It looks rather interesting. I'm quite excited about it. Have you had anybody sign up yet?
Oh yeah, we got a bunch of applicants. I think we're gonna pull 50, bring them in for the gauntlet, which will be 3 days, which is really about 2.5 days, and then we'll select 2 12-person teams, and then bring them back for between 4 and 6 weeks.
Nice.
I think it's going to be awesome.
There'll be a lot of classes. You're going to learn a ton of stuff. You're going to do a lot of work. You're going to start a business. You're going to be responsible. We're going to teach you marketing, video, editing, as well as all the hands-on stuff. You're going to have medical. You're going to have, firearms training, all the big companies involved.
If you need some raw land, I know a guy that's not too far from you where they can,
Well, I mean, we will have physical labor for projects,
Nice. Well, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, for the 4 people on the live feed who don't know what Homestead Apprentice is, Jules is asking, what's Homestead Apprentice?
So jump on Homestead Apprentice Instagram page, follow there, and then you can go to the website Homestead Apprentice, and it'll tell you how to apply. You're going to put in an application and make a video. We're going to take your videos and build video reaction videos to your videos to help promote also. But it's all right there.
Yeah. It sounds like a really cool thing.
It's something that you could take other places, right? You could take that and turn it into a lot of different things. We're going to take the first winners, and they're going to get one of them is going to have a homestead. We're going to write again, and then the second crew coming in will help build the first homestead, and that'll be close here. So we're kind of populating the area with people that we want here and have the same alignment with, as well as have work. We're looking at the apprentice. We are looking for people for our businesses, and they're going to be proven out the back end that they have the wherewithal to stay. And it's not just necessary. It's not the biggest, strongest people, and it's not necessarily it's got to be a combination of both. You have to, be able to add value as well as, follow some framework and run some kind of business. It's great to live here, but there's not a lot of jobs here. So it's always better when a dude comes here to work to have some kind of side hustle or, business of his own that he can develop and grow and even turn into something that we do business to business instead of being an employee. Guys come here a lot, but the shortfall is when they come here with a family, there's not a lot here for the family. So if you have a business or something that your family can do, and also on the weekends, we used to people would come here to work, and it was like adopting another child. I would have 5 people here who moved here from Alaska, New York, and Arizona, and it would be a full-time job for Amanda and myself because We literally took them everywhere with us. They ate every meal with us. I need them to kind of adult on their own, right? So if they have a group of people that are in and have some friends that, because they have the same interests, and then have some kind of income in addition, that's always better. And it has standing. It just lasts a lot longer.
Well, and if you want to be successful on a homestead, it pays to have a business perspective going in. I think when your goal with the homestead is to be as cheap as possible and never, and not charge too much money for your stuff or whatever it is, you're more likely to fail because it really helps to solve problems sometimes to have some money to fix the problem rather than just all day long trying to figure out how to repurpose a pallet or something. Not that repurposing pallets is bad. So one of the things I like about your project, John, is you're pairing that business acumen, because if you do build your homestead and you do monetize your homestead, you're more likely to stay at it for the long term.
And that could be, even somebody just called Shaw out, Gold Shaw Farms. We had him on. A great YouTube channel. He's completely different than us. He's like, I'm a liberal. Like I'm not anything like you guys. I think he actually told us that. And somebody called him out and it's like, it's very disingenuous. You show all these things you're doing, but I have a homestead, and basically I have a homestead and I can't do what you're doing. So this is bullshit. And basically he's making money from social media. Right. And she's like, well, you don't have enough ducks to be able to afford the fencing you have. Well, come on. He came from he was a real estate or a banker. His wife, I believe, is a full-time nurse. Like they have most farmers hold 2 adult incomes in order to be a farmer, right? The farm doesn't pay for the farm anymore. So how do we take these people and show them how to monetize, right? That's like, I'll look at a dude, I'll talk to a dude for 10 minutes and I'll be like, okay, you can make money here. 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 So if we can instill that in them, you might not have to have 800 ducks in order to, be able to pay for the duck feed. You can show videos of the ducks and the monetization off the ducks, build a brand and sell duck shirts and duck merchandise, take duck quills and make, writing utensils. You'd probably make more money selling feathers with pin quills on the end than you would selling, duck eggs. So it's just showing all that. And this chick totally called him out and really, I really thought she was really shitty about it. He took it so well, man. He is so polite.
Well, he's the kind of liberal you want to talk to, right? You can have a conversation with him and exchange ideas. I'd actually love to have him on again.
The dude, I enjoy his content. And then it got so bad. And that's what I said. I go, you don't have to fight your fight. Your audience will fight the fight. He had to turn the comments off. And then he had on Roots and Refuge. And that was a really good conversation between the two of them. She's like, I just kind of ran my channel and I had some women issues and I talked about it and people literally attacked me over it. And she said, I was just able to do some research and found a couple solutions without surgery and major chemicals, and it solved my problem. So I was excited to be able to put that out there. It might help somebody. And she goes, I go to these events and I want to meet everybody. And I literally get so emotional and I break down. Just, it's so taxing, not in a bad way. It was just very interesting. And she's like, we have these businesses. I think they got a big building from the city that had been taken over from the city, and they're revitalizing this area. And I think she has like kind of a farmer's market with kiosks and, homemade things for all these vendors there. And she goes, we have $1 million on that loan, but the farm doesn't pay for that. That's its own thing, and social media. So it's just weird, people's perspectives where they follow you on social and they're like, man, I kind of related to you when you started and you had nothing, but basically you did something that I'm not motivated or willing to do. So I have to unfollow you, because that's really what the story is. And it's just kind of, I don't know why I went off on that tangent, but it's been in my head.
No, it's the must be nice mindset, John. I use it all
really
the time.
Is.
And I'm listening to you, and somebody sits back there and you get it all the time. Must be nice. Whatever you want to call it. But you look back, well, you're right. You didn't want to do the work. So yeah, I'm right. It's nice. Absolutely. But that's what 100%. That's where it comes from.
Well,
They
and
forget the
I
first.
think, go ahead.
They forget the first 2 years, right? When Amanda and I were out here with shovels mucking out goat shit that was literally up to my kneecaps, right? Because we had them in a pen, but we'd turn them out during the day. But they didn't bother to comment on any of those videos. They only commented when the new skid steer showed up and did it all in 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Do you want people to be successful? Or like, is it disingenuous to be successful? That's what it comes down to. Like, what do you're not a real punk rocker anymore because you know what I mean? Like, I do not
You've
get
gone
that
corporate.
mindset. Right.
Yeah. You sold out.
You sold out, man. You got 100,000 YouTube subscribers and now your ad revenue pays for your duck fences. Yes, it does. Wasn't that the plan to be successful?
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Don't you want to copy me and do it too?
I tell them, I'm like, you're a grown ass human being. You do whatever you want. Like literally, I want you to do whatever it is you want to do. And if you ask me how to do that, I will help you do that. Whatever it is you want to do. I don't care what it is unless it takes away from me or mine or, a child or something. I don't care. Whatever it is you want to do. But I think I think especially with men, I think that if you have a group of dudes that kind of hang out on the weekend and football's we're going to get together and watch football. No, you mean you're going to get to drink together and watch beer and not ever go play football. You're going to vicariously watch some other grown ass man dance around in tights. But when one of those dudes is like, hey, I bought this saw and I'm building these things out of pallets, and there'll always be a dude that shits on them. They'll sit there and listen for a minute.
Yep.
But when they walk away, and I think a lot of it is the wife or the spouse involved is like, hey, did you see what Bob's doing, man? Bob bought another truck and he's running 2 trash routes. But Tim over here, who's talking about Bob and his wife thought it was pretty cool. He doesn't want to do that. He just they want to pull you down rather than push you up, man.
Yeah, it's amazing to me the number of people who are like, it's the how dare you attitude. How dare you make money? I get that because I'm a girl. Like, how dare you, Nicole, charge money for the thing you're selling? And I'm like, you don't have to buy it. And
how dare you be happy?
I want to be successful. I want to be more successful than I am now. It's going to take work, but it's also going to take charging money for things. Like, that's just how that works. Hopefully creating value along the way.
It's permission to stay lazy too. I talk about it all the time, but people are content doing what they're not, you know what I mean? Just sitting there doing nothing. And every time you succeed or do more, it reminds them of what they're not doing. And that's what makes them angry.
I do remember what it felt like when somebody was more successful than me and I envied their position, and it hurt for a bit because I wasn't doing everything I could.
Yep.
And that was the real reason it hurt, right? But I learned to reframe my perspective and ask questions about how did you do that and decide what I was going to implement in my life rather than just sit there and feel hurt.
Did they help you?
Yes. No, I've never had anybody who I was asked, like, how did you do this, not give me an answer. The most I've gotten is somebody's too busy to answer, and then they eventually answer if I ask again.
Yep. That's the thing with successful people. It's not a secret. It's usually not a secret, especially if you're in a small group, right? How did you monetize this? Where does the money really come from? That's why I like to ask people, especially when we have them on the lives. I'm like, what pays you, right? Are you really? Is it YouTube? Like, what do you really do? And a lot of dudes like, oh, I'm a doctor, or I'm a lawyer, or I'm a real estate guy. Like, I'm always curious, like, how can we do what we want to do and live an amazing life and not have to go because people are so fast. They're like, well, money's not everything. Oh, it's not. You're right. Then why do you get up every morning and go someplace you hate for so little of it? Why do you grumble to go there, right? If money's not everything for a lot of us, but it clearly is for the dude usually saying that it's not everything.
Well, and it's amazing how quickly you are able to find ways to make money when you don't have the safety net of the job, but how hard it is to walk away from the safety net of the job because we've just that's how we were trained. I had a really hard time walking away.
Yeah, that's the burn the boats, right? Everybody talks about plan A, B, C. If I got plan B and C, A is never going to be what it could have been if I've got all those backup plans. It's like dudes are like, you so fast. Guys are like, well, I'm not taking out any credit. I'm like, yeah, I totally hear it. I get it. And all the material that comes in this shop, I don't have 30 days net on it. We pay everything. It goes on a credit card, right? And we pay that off every month, and then we get points on that credit. But dudes are so instilled, and a lot of that is just, I feel like it's just an excuse to not perform, right? Like, okay, so you're not going to take out credit. Go mortgage your house, take out some credit line against your house, and go get the tools you need to do the thing you're saying you want to do. And you'll be very clear within 90 days who's going to perform and not, right? If you know you're losing your house, you are apt to do the shit you said you were going to do. But a lot of it's I don't know.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's when people have built their barrier that they can't get over, and they see other people moving past those barriers, they don't like it. And, people come to our content because we're relatable. And suddenly it's not relatable when Hollow Roast is successful. Like, I will admit that I had some time where that kind of hurt my feelings too, that my followers who've been around for years are giving me crap about becoming successful. And I can't even say I'm successful right now without kind of hesitating, because I feel like I don't consider myself successful. I'm more successful than I was, but I'm not, there yet. It's still something I'm striving for. But at the same time, I'm way better off than I was in 2016 when I started the podcast. And then when I thought about it, I was like, well, what do I teach on my podcast? Get rid of the negative energy. Get rid of the energy vampires. If people are pulling you down, don't keep them in your life. Oh, I shouldn't let my listeners do that to me, so I'm just going to let it go.
But that's a sign of a successful person, Nicole, is, okay, I don't really feel that successful because I want to do my next thing. You're always, when there, Paul Wheaton's in there. Hello, Mr. Wheaton. But as I got to interview Joel Salatin after Self-Reliance Festival, and a couple of my followers said, man, I don't know if their exact words were, well, you've made it. You finally interviewed Joel Salatin. And I told him, I said, you know what I was thinking about while I was interviewing him? I mean, not really, but as soon as, who's the next person I'm going to interview? Where am I going to go find the next person? What do I do? Because you don't ever stop, because it's awesome, and you go for the next thing and you want to do, but of course you're always wanting to expand and do more. And if you don't think about that, you never will be successful.
Well, who do you interview after Paul Wheaton and Joel Salatin? I mean, what's really left? Joe Rogan?
Joe Rogan, Mike Rowe, for sure. Mike Rowe.
Mike Rowe, yeah.
Mike Rowe on.
Yeah, Mike Rowe. Well, aren't you about to take the coffee business and triple it past everything you've done thus far? I mean, isn't that a real thing right now? I mean, I don't think this is out there public, but Nicole just said, hey, I have an opportunity to get a coffee roaster that's like 5 times bigger than anything I've had. And what did I say? I said, well, what are you waiting for?
Right. Do it.
Yep.
When the lady offered Becky to buy another daycare, 30 seconds, it's all it took her. Sure, we'll make it work. And people said, you're crazy. And never did it calculate in, how are we going to do this? Right. Because we'll make it work. We always make it work. And if you can see the end, if you see, hey, 5 times the coffee, the money that's going to come after it, you'll figure all the little steps out in between, Nicole. You've done it every time so far.
Yeah.
So don't.
So the funny thing about the opportunity is that the price tag on the roaster is exactly what I paid for this roaster. Like, wow. So it's not even that much money. John's like, you have the money, right? I was like, actually, I do.
Because I was going to be like, I'll give you the money. But I mean, right. we know that you can crowdfund it. I mean, we had that fucking thing done in what, 24 hours?
Oh no, it was 4 hours.
Yeah, I mean, your goal, and you kept going and going and going, and you're like, Mama Sauce she's concerned. I'm like, no, keep going. Keep going.
Her mom's like, it's too much. I'm like, we're going to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody loved being a part of that.
Yeah.
And it would be amazing content, right? Because you're going to have to put in another building. You're going to have to bring in more power. I mean, what's better than more power?
More power. It's so funny. I'm simultaneously peeling my house off power while putting the business on more power.
That's all right. That's all right. You still have that small roaster. You still know that if the world collapses, you can still make coffee with whatever coffee's left over in the United States.
I can roast it on a cast iron skillet over a fire if I have to. Like, I'm gonna have coffee for a long time if I can't get beans in here. Even when at my low bean count, I'll have coffee for a long time.
Yep.
Yeah. So the Christmas rush is on, and what happens at this time of year is I do about triple the rest of the year volume for the next 6 weeks. And as I'm watching the big bags of coffee come in, because we bring them in one at a time, I'm like, I didn't think I was going to have to order another pallet before the end of the year, but that's what we're looking at right now because they're going that fast.
What would the Nicole sauce that went to Jack Spirko's workshop, whatever, 4 or 5 years ago, the one that was like, kind of on the fence about roasting coffee. What do you think she would think about the fact that you got to order another pallet of coffee because you're so damn successful?
I was ordering 20 pounds of coffee to roast at a time. Not 2,000.
I want to be there when the truck of coffee comes.
Mm-hmm.
When
the semi truck.
I want to be there to watch too, because my road's interesting.
When the whole entire load is yours, right? I used to say I wanted a UPS truck to come, and then it did. And then I wanted a UPS truck with a trailer, and then it did. And then a semi truck, and the entire load was ours, right? What's next? A train track. We have a spur put in. That's what's left. And it's the wonderment, right? How are we going to do this? Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? And for content, that's the best content. It's the wonderment. When we were building the building and we would come here out of excitement every day, and people were like, you should put in a spiral staircase. You should put in a fireman pole. And now that the building's built, the wonderment's gone, right? And I was watching
here's the fireman's pole.
We never put it up. It never got put up. It actually goes right where that locker is in my workspace from my office down. We just never cut the hole. So we were watching this guy, Cold War Mercantile, and the city, I think he's in like Chicago or somewhere. The city for $1 gave him this old Buster Brown shoe plant. It's enormous. It is so big. And they're like, you can have it, you secure it and keep the homeless out of there. And this weekend, a factory popped up. I don't know what they had in there. It's right out of Nashville. And they listed it as a 5-bedroom, 2-bath property, but it's a 30,000 square foot tobacco barn from like the 1800s. And then somebody put something else in and it's for sale cheap. And I just hit him up and I'm like, where is this at? And he's like, it's zoned. You can live there. You can factor, but it's just one of those things. I don't know what the hell we do with it, but we'd go in there and shoot a first video out of it. And I guarantee within 90 days, we could have the mortgage paid on that thing just off of the revenue that we would build. And we don't have a clue what we're going to put in there. No idea. I haven't even gone and looked at it. I'm not going to look at this thing because we'll buy it. I'll figure out how to get it if we go over there. But it's that excitement. And that's that coffee roaster. Like you have and you have so many problems. Like they can't even bring the coffee to your house that you order now. Could you imagine a semi truck, right? You'd have to, it'd be badass to get a sky crane to come in and sling load that thing.
I just need to buy a box truck and I meet them and they just load it straight from their truck to my truck. That's the way to do that. That's the easy way. And then I need to unload it here because the semi trucks can make it down my road, but a box truck does better coming up the driveway. On the other hand, we're also looking at buying more land here and access can be built if I get the land. So it's a matter of convincing somebody to sell me the land right now.
And that wonderment, John, I think that's the key. I even like with the Delinquents Gully that we're building right now, it's something new because everything, we've done a bunch of things and it's fun to watch somebody get excited. Why do you think, 3 million people watch Colin Frews dig a hole in his backyard? I mean, there's literally probably 3 hours of footage of him digging a little dirt, putting in them stupid little plastic containers, and then winching them up and out. But people watch it because he's like a kid at Christmas. What's the next thing you're going to build? And that to me is what gets me out of bed in the morning and what's exciting.
And TIE Fighter and the AT-AT, all the Star Wars stuff he built in the backyard there.
Yes.
Yeah. And man, if you do anything Star Wars, 500 Star Wars people will show up to, man, it's wild.
There's something else that is a quick way for growth in YouTube. We're talking about Star Wars, jumping on trends. And I don't mean trends as in stupid things, but for instance, the first time I tried this with my channel, I did, I forget what the amount was, but I went on Temu, T-E-M-U, you know, that knockoff Amazon, and I bought a bunch of prepping gear on there. Well, that video for the last 6 months has been one of my top 5 trending videos every single day, because it's a trend. People are interested in it. It ties people into the community, and it just keeps bringing things in. When you can find that, oh yeah.
Yep, prepping homestead overland, right? Go to Harbor Freight, go to Tractor Supply, go to Lowe's. These are the things for prepping. There's a video. These are the things for homesteading, and there's tons of overlap, but you just use the other hashtags. And before you know it, you can get affiliate links with all of those companies. Tractor Supply, Lowe's, everybody has affiliate links.
You know, it's funny. I go to places like Staples and Best Buy, and I will go in and I will just film random things. And I'll be like, this is going to make a great video. And I'll grab 10 or 15 items for prepping. And I sit on that shit. I've never put it out. And I just do it because it interests the hell out of me. And I love that. And yeah, I got to do more of it for sure.
Go into Best Buy and just buy a flat of water. They're going to have to ring it up like Jack always says, right? And be like, this is where I get all my water. You'll have 8 million people telling you what a dumbass you are for buying your water there. But if you want the traffic and the eyeballs, it'll spur the algorithm.
It's true. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just go around as the internet police and just tell everybody they're doing something wrong, right? Just like Jack's video he just did on the Johnson Sioux bioreactor. He said, have you ever noticed no matter what video, the internet cop always shows up to tell you you're doing something wrong?
Yep.
Always. The Fed always shows up.
Ask a crazy canning question.
Oh yeah. Just you should get the old 1950s ball blue book and just read out of that. Just one page a day. Somebody will show up to tell you how you're going to kill grandma.
The canning question I got this weekend was about bone broth, because when you strain bone broth, sometimes there's still little bits of meat in it. If you don't strain
I
it,
gotta step out for a second.
A fine filter. And somebody asked me what the processing time was if there's little bits of meat in there. And I was like, what do you mean by little bits of meat? Like you didn't filter everything out, or like actual squares of turkey? Because it's a different answer for one. But if it's just little bits of meat, just process it. That's what I need to say online, because that will bring all of the canning Nazis out of they won't like my answer.
It is unreal. I mean, it's just like anything right now, but that is as black and white as it comes. You're either, a canning rebel or whatever the opposite of a canning rebel is. I don't know, but they're just, people will fight and fight and fight. It's okay. Let them do what they want to do.
Oh, he's asking, can you can kale? Probably. I haven't looked it up, but
I used to can.
It's all about finding the time for processing. If it's too dense, like you probably have to have enough water in there for it not to be too dense for the temperature to reach the middle of the jar. But
I used to can beet greens a lot.
I can't see. I mean, like if you can can spinach.
Yeah, we did beet greens all the time, and it tasted just like canned spinach. I enjoyed it. It was one of the first things we could can in the fall when things would start, or well, whatever it was the first time of the year. Punk rock canners. There you go.
Well, so the one that does kind of get me a little twisted are people who are doing the low acid foods in the oven without pressure.
Sure.
Because water boils where water boils, and that's not what you're doing. Like if you turn your oven up to 350 degrees, your water still boils at 212 degrees. So, that's just a thing. But so there's a lot of that going around that you can that way. But yeah. But you just have to understand how it works.
But I mean, if somebody wants to do it, let them do it. Be an adult and realize you're an idiot. People in Newfoundland would can rabbit for years. I mean, they still do it. They open water bath rabbit meat in cans, and they'll boil it for an hour and a half or 2 hours, whatever it is, and they say it's fine. Well, maybe it is. I'm not going to eat it, but they've been eating it for years doing it that way.
Well, you can meat water bath by boiling it for a very long time.
Well, it's
Is it
But
good?
it's just a really long time, and it's not
Right.
2 hours. It's like 4 or 6 or something, and I figure it's just easier to run it through the like, that's literally what I'm doing after this is canning my bone broth because it's the official weekend of canning bone broth in America.
Well, there's plenty of villages around the world that drink water right out of the open source pit. I mean, it would kill you and I. I mean, maybe
Good
people
point.
in Newfoundland are just live with the bacteria that's there, or maybe there's just no parasites in rabbits in Newfoundland. I don't know.
No, if they're boiling it on the way out, then they're
Good
breaking
point.
down the botulism toxin, and that would so depending on how they're doing it afterwards, that would
They
be my
typically
guess
eat it-
about why.
They usually eat it cold out of the jar.
Oh well, then I don't know why.
Canning whole rabbits is a thing. If you look up canning rabbits, it's typically 65-year-old, old men. And every one of them, when you watch one of these videos about canning rabbits, their favorite meal is to take a rabbit out of the jar and just have a rabbit meat sandwich. Like I never would have thought of that, but every video about canning rabbits seems to contain a rabbit sandwich. I just put it right on the bread with some mustard and mayonnaise, and I just eat my rabbit sandwich.
That needs to be a Homestead Apprentice meal. The rabbit sandwich.
That's
man,
right.
I would eat that in a heartbeat. Oh yeah.
You can't live on a homestead if you can't cook your stuff.
I'll eat anything if there's somebody else sitting there eating it. I'll try it. Like
I grew up hunting rabbit with my dad in Nova Scotia. First it's deer, and then second it's rabbit. And then I came out here to the prairies, and they looked at me like we were poor or something. I'm like, everybody hunted rabbit out there. You'd have rabbit hounds that would chase them. You'd climb a tree and you'd shoot them.
Yeah, we don't actually eat those. We just shoot them all.
Sure.
Have you bought rabbit at the store lately? It is not poor man's food.
No, it's very because it's just it's not as common,
Yep. Well, we're coming up on 2 hours, guys. You want to go once around the horn? It always goes so fast with you two.
2 hours, just like that.
Yeah. Boom.
Go ahead, John.
SOE Tactical Gear. That's my website. We build nylon tactical gear. We do a different t-shirt every week. It's very rare that we rerun the same design. I can be found on almost every social media platform out there. All of it is SOE Tactical Gear. And I do a live feed every night at 9:00. You can jump on and we can talk about literally almost anything you want to talk about. You guys lead that conversation, and I show the gear that we made each day. And then we just talk about whatever you want to talk about. So if you're interested, that's where you can find me.
Okay, I'm going to go and let you wrap it up this time, Tim. Nicole Sauce from the Living Free in Tennessee podcast. But right now it's Christmas season, and Hollow Roast Coffee has a Cyber Week deal where if you order your Christmas gifts at hollowroast.com right now and add gift wrapping, it is free through Friday. And you can even choose to have it mailed after December 13th. So you can order your gifts now. I do the work for you, and people get delicious, awesome coffee. That's at hollowroast.com. Tim, bring us home.
And if you show up in a cyber truck, she'll give you 50% off.
Oh man, I'd love to see a cyber truck. And yeah, for me, you can find me in all the places. Toolman Tim's workshop. I got a podcast. I stream 3 times a week. It's now 6:00 Mountain Time. Thursday, Friday, Sunday night on the YouTube channel. And I also have a Patch of the Month Club. And that is the biggest way to support me. And we actually have the best deal going on, the Black Friday one to the end of this month anyway. So here's the deal. $10 a month or $100 a year, you get a politically incorrect patch in your mail every single month. But here's the thing. If you sign up for the monthly recurring right now, you'll get 3 free patches, a random grab bag of patches. You go to patchofthemonth.co. That's cool enough. We've done that before. But this year, for Black Friday, we decided if you sign up for the yearly recurring, so $100 on the spot, you get all 12 of last year's patches sent to you for free for the first. It's only for this week. So if you don't get it by November 30th, I'm not honoring it. But we'll send you out all 12 of the leftover patches from last year. So patchofthemonth.co.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Right on.